Okay, so what is truth? Part 4, and I'm just gonna go in. John 18:28 through 40. Then the Jewish leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas to the palace of the Roman governor. By now it was early morning, and to avoid ceremonial uncleanness, they did not enter the palace because they wanted to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and asked, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" "If he were not a criminal," they replied, "we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." Pilate could care less about what they had, going on. Like, they were not that important to Pilate. And Pilate, remember, that is like the world, right? The world system, the world's militaries, the world's governments. They look at, the Christians, believers, like the Roman government looked at like the different religious, entities of the different empires or kingdoms that they overtook. And it's like, okay, y'all are, what is your God, right? You all are under our authority. So Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." "But we have no right to execute anyone," they objected. This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die. So they took an innocent Jesus, and this is what the world does. They take the innocent, those who speak the truth, and because of the depths of truth in what is being spoken and what's being lived, like, they want to see you just completely destroyed, executed. So whatever system it is, the Pharisees, right, representing the religious leaders, the self-righteous leaders who think they're the ones who have the knowledge, the truth, the power, and the authority on all things related to God. When the real truth, when they see the real truth come and it's showing them where they are wrong, where they're not in the right, where they are not the ultimate authority, and it should be humbling them and making them yield and surrender all the more to the one true authority. Instead, they want to keep those positions of power, those positions of authority, those positions of self-proclaimed, self-righteousness, self-proclaimed holiness, and all the authority that they have laid onto themselves. They want to keep that. So when there's something that comes to threaten that, then they have to completely destroy it in the worst way. It's not just, we want to discredit you, we want to silence you, but we need to sabotage and completely destroy you so that any influence or any territory that the truth has gained, because they're being used by Satan. So any territory that the truth, which is Jesus, which is God, any territory that God uses truth speakers, that God used Jesus to gain, the enemy has to come to take back that territory, to fight against that territory, to keep it from advancing. And so they have to completely destroy it. And so they weren't just like, shut Jesus up. It's like, not just discredit Jesus, because they tried that before. Always mocking, always trying to ask questions, but not out of genuine, authentic wanting to learn and having teachable spirits, but asking questions to try to trap and trip up Jesus. And that's the same thing that the world, who are mockers and ungodly, but also the self-appointed religious authorities, they also do this to the current truth speakers. But we have no right to execute anyone, they objected. This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked. "Or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replied. "Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" And so, just because, all of your own people, the people who are supposed to, be standing for you, with you, the people who are supposed to be in agreement with you, again, these are the Pharisees. These are the religious leaders, those with those, self-appointed, high-ranking positions in the different religious systems in Christianity today, right? So to the world, it's like, okay, the religious people, your own bishops and apostles and prophets and pastors and evangelists and all these different, people that are big names and well known, and they have all this authority. Your own religious people are the ones who have handed you over. They're the ones who today have slandered you or spoken against you. They're the ones who are saying that you're not true, that you're not real, that you are doing wrong. So you must be doing something wrong because the people in authority, over what you're speaking, say you're doing something wrong. How foolish. Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." Now, this, not even listening. You hearing, but you don't really hear. This is foolishness. What are you talking about? This man is talking nonsense. This is what this is what the world is thinking, right? Because the Pharisees, the Jews, those leaders, today's modern, Christian leaders, self-proclaimed authorities with all these different titles and everything, they speak the language that the world can understand. And so the Pharisees, they were speaking the language that the Roman Empire could understand, right? Like, he's saying that he's the king. He's saying that, he would destroy the temple. He's saying all of this stuff. So very basic, earthly, surface level, surface minded. So you can tell their minds was not on the kingdom. Their hearts wasn't really spiritually kingdom minded. They had all this knowledge, this head knowledge, reading the word, right? Searching the scriptures, but ignoring the one that the scriptures talked about, totally missing it because of their own self-righteousness and self-pride in the positions that they had. They wanted to keep it. And it's no different than the different things that we see happen today. Right? And so, yeah, you can be famous and you can be so popular and you can be okay with the world because you don't cross that line of what the world don't want to hear. You stay over in your own little religious area. And that's what the Pharisees and all of them were doing. But when the real truth came to speak, and the real truth came and tore up not just the religious system, but it was tearing up even, the worldly system, right? Roman guards and things like that, becoming, followers, believers. And so when that real truth came, it threatened everything that they had set up for themselves. And so the worldly systems, this is like speaking a foreign language to whatever the system of the world is. When you really speak the language of God, when you're really speaking on kingdom, spiritual things. And so is so far above his understanding. And it's above sometimes our understanding. We don't understand everything that God is saying in the moment, and he's designed it that way, right? Just like when he speaks parables, it's so that those with a pure heart. So a pure heart means if I don't understand, I'm probably going to go out. I'm definitely going to go out and search and give all that I have to understand what is God saying. I don't understand it right now, but he's given me almost like clues. So it's up to me to go out and dig and research and get into whatever those clues are so that I can find out what the treasure is, so that I can find out what the truth or, whatever the revelation is from what he was speaking. And so you don't never find out because you never did the work to find out. You never did the work to understand because your heart isn't purely in it, because you don't really want to understand, because you were not willing to search it out. You were not willing to sacrifice anything to gain the understanding. Because I'm not going to say if I was Pilate, right? Because we put ourselves in that position. We don't know what we would have done. But just saying it in this way, like to give a understanding or paint a picture, like if I was Pilate, I would be like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean when you say your kingdom isn't of this world? What is your kingdom then? What world? I would be like, well, who are your servants, right? Who are your people that would fight for you against the Jews? Like, I want to know. But Pilate didn't care. You didn't even want to know, Pilate. And so look at the world. The nonsense, what they call nonsense, and think that the gospel is foolishness, think that Jesus is foolishness. The things that we speak and preach about, the spiritual things, the kingdom of God, they think it's foolishness in just trying to get us to either shut up, or they mock, or we are a nuisance or a waste of time for them. But it's really, no, you should be trying to figure out, if you can't understand what we talking about, if your heart really wanted the truth, if your heart really wanted to know if we were the truth, you would be trying to dig, you would be trying to search what we were talking about and seek it out and learn, is it really the truth? What are you talking about? But it's not pure. You don't want to know the truth. But now my kingdom is from another place. So this is what Pilate said, just totally, because you don't care, Pilate, right? You don't care, world. You don't really want to know what we're talking about, or else you would search it out. So Pilate says, you are a king then, said Pilate. So you just took the surface and let everything else go over your head and didn't do any digging in. You just heard that one part, and that was the part that you was looking for. Instead of looking for real truth, you was just looking for a certain thing. Jesus answered, you say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me. Now, Jesus, our God, the one true and only living God, the answer to everything, all truth, the only thing that matters. He is telling you, you're standing face to face with him. And you don't know that, right? But he's saying things that what are you talking about? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, this is so far beyond my understanding, whatever you're saying. But you said that you were born to testify to the truth. So anyone who, is on the side of truth, who wants truth, listens to you. Well, I want truth. So if you really do have the truth, tell me what this truth is. Explain it to me, because I don't understand. But the thing is, you already think you know. You think that I'm crazy or whatever it is you want to think. You think I'm a nuisance. I'm not important, that I don't matter. And so what I'm saying is just like going in one ear and out the other. It's not really truth to you. This is to Pilate. This is the world, the non-believers, the unbelieving world. So you don't even hear what I'm saying to you and care enough to try to figure out, is it really what you're saying? Are you really the truth? So everyone on the side of truth listens to me. This is Pilate. What is truth? Retorted Pilate. Not really asking. It's more of an annoyance, right? Pilate is like annoyed. Okay, what is truth? Like, what is truth? Like, whatever. Like, you're talking nonsense. I don't care about what you're talking about. With this, so he says, what is truth? And walks away. You walked away from truth. Scorning it, mocking it, just disregarding it as though it's nothing. The answer to everything that you need, could want, everything. It was right there in your face. You walked away from it. With this, he went out again to the Jews gathered there and said, I find no basis for a charge against him. Because he think he just crazy and a nuisance to him. Getting back to whatever important things, because you're so important that the most important and only important thing that matters in the world and all of existence, you're so important that you couldn't even take the time to figure out if that's what it was. Pride. And that's where everyone is at right now. Pride. You believe the world, the unbelievers, and the church, the leaders, and everyone in the church, right? When you start thinking that whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that your assignment is, whatever it is that your job is in the world, right? Whatever your purpose here to do, and believers, whatever it is that you think your purpose here to do, it's so important that when you're faced with the only thing that matters, with God, you will disregard what God is saying, what God is doing. You will disregard his truth because you're that important. I find no basis for a charge against him, but it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of the Passover. Do you want me to release the King of the Jews? They shouted back, no, not him. Give us Barabbas. Now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising. So two things here. Pilate, the world, the unbelieving world, you need God, and you can't put it on the church, right? You can't put your decision not to serve God, your decision not to accept truth. You will not be able to put that on the body of Christ. You will not be able to put that on any person. Pilate is like, well, it's your custom for me to release someone to you. And Pilate is thinking like, well, I'm going to ask them. I told them there was no charge. If they make the decision to crucify this man, then the blood is not on my hands. Yes, it is, Pilate. It doesn't matter that you are not a Jew. Yes, it is, world. It doesn't matter that you didn't grow up in church. I didn't grow up in church. It doesn't matter that you was born in a, in a non-Christian, non-Jewish, or even non-Muslim nation where you didn't know anything about the Bible, about the Torah. It doesn't matter. God is spirit, and those who worship him worship in spirit and in truth. There is a spirit that will meet your spirit, that will testify of the truth to you. There are pastors, there are prophets, there are evangelists. God is a spirit. He will speak in a dream and wake you up. So he is a just God. He will ensure that everyone knows about salvation, and everyone will be accountable to it. So world, the truth is, just because you might see some believers, some Christians, whatever you want to call it, you might see some messed up stuff in the church, you are still accountable. You will not be able to stand before God and say, God, I couldn't serve you, or I didn't know you were the truth because the people that said they were of you wasn't living right or wasn't living according to that word. And God was like, but you could read, you can hear, you can see. You got people that came to you. I sent this person. I sent that person. I visited you myself in a dream, in a vision. I was face to face with you in that conviction in your heart, in your spirit. And you chose not to come to me. In church, oh, how much more? Church, if you look, right, they might not have known the full weight, had the full understanding of what they were doing, the full understanding of the word. We don't either, right? No, we don't. Anybody who really thinks you do, you need to like kind of check yourself and really go before God in humility and understand that we only know as much as he reveals to us through his word, through his spirit, and he has not revealed every single thing to us. So you better leave some room open for understanding, for growth, for correction for yourself. And I say that, as I say it, like holding myself, in my own heart and spirit, like, ooh, yeah, like where I might be wrong about some things, or not even wrong, but what do I need to understand? So they didn't necessarily know like the full weight of everything, right? But what they did know was that Jesus was innocent. They knew that Barabbas, whatever his name was, they knew that he actually did what was said that he had done. They knew that Jesus was innocent. They knew that he was a man of God. They had ideals and thoughts that he could be possibly the Messiah. But because it ruined what they wanted, even though they knew he was truth and that he was a truth teller, they may not have fully understood the things he was saying and what he was talking about. They knew that he was innocent. They knew that he was of truth. They knew that he was of God. But it wasn't the way they wanted it. It wasn't how they wanted it. It wasn't what they wanted. It lowered their position, because now the true king, now someone greater than the works they were doing, than the things they were teaching and speaking, someone greater came. And so it lowered their position. It lowered their authority in the sight of the people. And they didn't like that. That wasn't good for them. It exposed where they were lacking and where they needed to humble themselves, and where they needed to surrender unto God, because they weren't perfect.